Hello FCS parents! Another week has gone by. That means another week of events is upon us here at Fairfield Christian School. First of all, I'd like to comment a little bit about the spring formal we had last Friday night. It was awesome. The kids had a fantastic time. Energy throughout the night. The kids danced throughout the night. Everything about it was great. We had it at Oddfellows Hall up in Davis. The venue was great. The food was great. The environment was great. The music was great. The kids just had a great time. Even though numbers were down slightly from last year, that's primarily because we have a separate event for the middle schoolers this year. And this year the spring formal was just for the high school students. Despite the numbers being down a little bit, I think it was actually even better than last year. The kids really had a great time. We included kids from the Thomas Christian School. They mingled well together. They socialized well together. There are a lot of events, especially as a chaperone, that you go to and you're counting down the minutes as to when that event is going to end. This was not like that at all. In fact, when Pastor Sean Marshall, he was our DJ/MC, when he announced he was the last song of the night, quite honestly, I looked at my watch and I said, "Are you kidding me? It's already 10 o'clock?" The time just flew by, and that's because even as chaperones, we were having a great time interacting with the kids, hanging out with them, watching them have a good time. So it was a great event. I can't wait for the spring formal to roll around again next year. In fact, we've set the bar kind of high, so each year we got to kind of set the bar a little bit higher. But I think we attained that this year, and I'm hoping to attain that even more next year. All right, this week, in fact, today is a very important day, and that's because today is TerraNova Testing for our kids. So hopefully they got a good night's sleep, hopefully they had a great breakfast, and they're ready to test today. All of our students from 3rd through 10th grade are going through TerraNova Testing today. Now this is our standardized testing. Now for those of you that have been with Fairfield Christian School for a while, you know the process and how we look at the data we get from these tests. For those of you that may be new or maybe haven't heard before, I'm just going to talk a little bit about our standardized testing because our data and the way that we use it is a little bit different than in the public school system. When we acquire our data, because of our concept of individualization with the students, we never want to take the data that we get from a student and compare that student to another student. We don't even want to compare that student to where they necessarily should be in terms of their grade or age level. What we want to do is we want to take that student's data and compare that student to themselves. Because of that, students that are taking the TerraNova test for the very first time, we're not going to have data to compare it to. But next year when they take the TerraNova test again, we will definitely have data to look back on. And that's because not all of our students are exactly where they're supposed to be, especially in various subject levels. Some of our students are ahead in terms of the typical, say, 4th grader. Some of our students come to us a little bit behind and they're supposed to be than the typical 6th grader per se. So we want to make sure that we're not comparing students to other students. We want to make sure we're comparing students to themselves. And that's very important to us. There's lots of ways to handle data when you acquire data. And if you look at the ways that other schools do their standardized testing, you'll see that there's lots of different ways to handle that. I don't have to try to twist the data to make my students look better. I want real actual data of how a student has progressed from one year to the next. And that's really what we're striving for. We want to make sure these students are learning. And quite honestly, our data over the past several years has proven that out because our students have progressed 1.5 years in just a year's time. So our process seems to be working, and we never want to teach to our standardized test. That's also a big controversy within the educational system, especially in public schools. Do you teach your lessons? Do you teach your daily curriculum for the standardized test so that the students do well on the test? Is that why we're teaching these kids, so they can do well on a standardized test? No, we teach these kids so they can learn how to learn. We want them to engage not only in getting data and regurgitating that data back to us, we want them to be able to have higher cognitive thinking on their own. So we never want to teach to the test. We always want to teach for the sake of the child learning. And then that way, when we do have the standardized test, then that test is a true measure of how well the student has learned from one year to the next. If you teach to the test, you're really not getting a true understanding of the learning that has taken place in that child, in my opinion. But today is an important day. Hopefully the kids are rested, are ready to go. They're going to do great on their tests. It makes for a very long day for them because they're focused and testing all day long. So we make sure to give them lots of breaks throughout the day so they can kind of get up and stretch and kind of get the blood flowing again. When you sit down for a while, all the blood starts to settle and pool. So we want them up and moving around because we want the blood flowing up here, not down in their legs because they're sitting for a long period of time. So we schedule breaks throughout the day for the kids, but it is a long day of testing. They may be mentally fatigued by the time they get done today, so be prepared for that when they get home. One other bit of information I want to give you: we've had to change the dates of one of our events. At the very end of the year, we usually go to Discovery Kingdom in that last week. Usually, in previous years, we have gotten out of school after Memorial Day. This year, because of the way we scheduled the school year, we get out before Memorial Day, which means Discovery Kingdom is not open during the week, during our last week of school. We did not realize that when we scheduled that at the beginning of the school year, so we've had to move our Discovery Kingdom date to May 20th. That is the Friday before the last week of school. It's actually at the end of finals week. Probably could be a good reward for those high school students that are taking finals. But that Friday, May 20th, is the date we're moving Discovery Kingdom to. Not May 25th, moving it to May 20th. Again, Discovery Kingdom is not open on the 25th. We still want to do it. We've had a lot of interest from students and parents. Kids love going to Discovery Kingdom. So we did move the date to May 20th. So you'll be getting more information about that probably in our weekly email as we get closer, some flyers as well when we get closer to buying tickets, things like that. So we wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of that as early as possible. We just made that change just last week when we became aware of it. So we still have a little over a month before that event takes place, and as I said, you'll be getting more information about that real soon. All right, hope you guys have a fantastic week. Hope to see you guys around soon. God bless.